The sun was sinking low over the jagged horizon, painting the Arizona desert in molten gold and fire. Dust hung in the air, stirred by the slow march of cattle toward the ranch's corrals. For Samuel Carter, a widower of 40 with more miles on his boots than most men twice his age, evenings like this were the only moments of peace he knew. His ranch, though humble, was all he had left. And some days, even that felt like it was slipping through his fingers. He leaned against the weathered fence post, wiping sweat from his brow, his calloused hands trembling from exhaustion. The ranch had been in his family for 2 generations, but drought, debts, and loneliness had taken their toll. Neighbors had sold out. Others had packed up and disappeared east. But Sam stayed, anchored by a promise to his late wife, that he'd never let the land go, no matter how hard it became. On that fateful evening, though, destiny came riding in on a storm. From beyond the canyon came a desperate cry, faint but sharp enough to slice through the stillness of dusk. Sam stiffened. Coyotes. A wounded animal. He listened harder, and then he heard it again, human. Without thinking, he swung into his saddle and urged his horse, Dusty, toward the sound. The desert was unforgiving, cries like that didn't last long. He rode hard through the dry wash, heart pounding, until he saw them. 2 figures, massive, towering even while crumpled on the ground, lay half hidden behind a cluster of mesquite. They were women, their skin bronzed by the sun, their long black hair tangled with dust and blood. One clutched her leg, pierced by an arrow. The other lay unconscious, her shoulder burned raw, as if from a rifle shot. Sam dismounted, his instincts at war. These were Apache women, giants of their people, renowned in whispered rancher tales for their strength and pride. Many settlers feared them. But lying there, broken and helpless, they weren't legends. They were simply human. Easy now, Sam murmured, kneeling beside them. You're safe. The conscious sister's eyes fluttered open, fierce even in pain. She tried to rise, staggering toward him as if to protect her kin. Her voice was ragged, accented but strong. Help, my sister. Sam nodded. I'll help both of you. He lifted the injured woman, a task that would have been near impossible if not for adrenaline and sheer will. She was heavier than any sack of grain he'd carried, her body tall and powerful despite its wounds. He managed to secure her across Dusty's back before turning to the other. She too was immense, but she clung weakly to his arm, trying to walk. Step by step, Sam led them back to the ranch, praying silently that he wasn't walking into trouble bigger than he could handle. The following days tested every ounce of grit he had. Sam cleaned their wounds, fashioned poultices from herbs, and boiled water to keep fever at bay. The unconscious sister, the younger, he guessed, didn't stir for 2 nights, her breathing shallow, her skin hot as fire. He sat beside her, dabbing her brow, whispering encouragement as though she could hear. The elder, once her pain dulled, revealed her name in halting English, Tala. Her sister was Naira. They were, indeed, Apache, proud daughters of the mountain tribes. And they had been ambushed while trying to return to their people. Their attackers weren't soldiers, as Sam first feared, but mercenaries hired by land barons who wanted the Apaches gone for good. You saved us, Tala rasped, once strength returned to her voice. Her eyes, dark, sharp, but softened now with gratitude, searched his. Why? Sam shrugged, almost embarrassed. Because you were hurt. Because no one deserves to be left to die. She studied him for a long moment, then gave a single nod. Then we are bound to you. Sam chuckled wearily. No need for that. You'll heal, and then you'll go home. But fate rarely listens to men's plans. As weeks turned into months, the sisters grew stronger. Stronger than Sam had ever imagined. He'd seen men wrestle bulls into submission, but Tala could haul a water trough alone, and Naira, once her leg healed, could split logs in a single swing. They towered over him, over most men, yet they moved with surprising grace. At first, Sam thought they'd leave as soon as they could walk without wincing. Yet every morning, there they were, tending cattle, fixing fences, hauling supplies. Naira whistled to the herd, and somehow the animals obeyed her. Tala patched leaky roofs, her laughter echoing across the barnyard like thunder rolling through the valley. When he asked why they stayed, Tala simply said, "The land needs more than one man. And you saved us. Now, we stay." It wasn't just the land that changed. The ranch, once silent and heavy with Sam's loneliness, pulsed with life. Their presence was like water to parched soil. Evenings were filled with stories around the fire, tales of their people, their ancestors, their battles and dreams. In return, Sam shared his own, his childhood, his late wife, the ache of losing her. The sisters listened, not with pity but with respect, as though his grief was a badge of honor. And somewhere in that sharing, Sam realized something startling: the weight of his loneliness had lifted. But the world beyond his fences wasn't blind. Whispers spread quickly in frontier towns. The Carter Ranch was harboring Apache women, giant ones at that. Some said Sam had gone mad. Others said he was bewitched. A few saw opportunity, muttering about bounties still lingering on Apache heads. One night, as the sisters slept in the barn loft, Sam sat on the porch, rifle across his knees, staring at the distant glow of lanterns moving on the horizon. Riders. The attack came swift. 5 men stormed the ranch, shouting curses, rifles raised. Sam fired warning shots, but he was outnumbered. He braced himself for the end. Then the barn doors exploded open. Tala and Naira charged like avalanches unleashed, their massive forms blotting out the moonlight. With a cry that rattled the earth, Tala wrenched a rifle from one man and snapped it across her knee. Naira swung a timber beam as if it were a child's toy, scattering attackers like straw dolls. Within minutes, the raiders fled, leaving only dust and silence in their wake. Sam, shaking, lowered his rifle. His heart thundered not with fear, but awe. You saved me," he whispered. Naira grinned, her teeth white against the night. "Now we are even. From that night on, the bond between them was unshakable. The sisters refused to leave, not because of debt, but because the ranch had become home. Together, they expanded it, coaxing life from the barren soil. With their help, Sam's herds doubled, his fences stretched wider, and for the first time in years, the ranch thrived. But more than that, Sam found himself smiling again. Truly smiling. He watched Tala teaching children from neighboring homesteads to braid rope. He saw Naira coax a stubborn colt into trust with nothing but patience and a song. And he realized, they weren't just guests anymore. They were family. Still, doubt gnawed at him. Could the world accept this strange family they'd built? Could he risk bringing trouble to their doorstep again? One evening, as the sky blazed with sunset, Sam voiced his fears aloud. "Tala, Naira, maybe it's better if you go back to your people. I don't want you in danger because of me." The sisters exchanged a glance, then stepped closer, their towering forms casting long shadows. "You saved us when no one else would," Tala said firmly. "This land saved us too. Now, it is ours as much as yours." Naira placed a massive hand on his shoulder, gentle yet steady. "Family does not leave when storms come. Family stays." And in that moment, the ache of years finally eased. Seasons passed. The ranch flourished like never before. Where once there had been despair, now there was laughter, strength, and hope. Neighbors who had once gossiped came seeking help, and the sisters welcomed them with open arms. Fear turned into respect. Prejudice gave way to admiration. Sam often thought back to that night in the canyon, when he had stumbled upon 2 wounded strangers. He hadn't known then that saving them would, in truth, save him. Because kindness has a way of circling back, stronger than before. And so it was that the man who once believed himself broken and alone found himself surrounded by family he never expected. 2 giant Apache sisters, who refused to leave, not out of obligation, but out of love. Final message. In the wide, untamed land of the frontier, survival was never just about strength or skill. It was about compassion, the courage to see humanity in one another, even when the world insisted on fear and division. Sam Carter saved 2 women's lives, but in return, they saved his soul. And together, they proved that family isn't bound by blood, but by the unshakable ties of kindness and loyalty. And that is how a lonely rancher, and 2 giant Apache sisters who refused to leave, built something greater than a ranch. They built hope.